Hello guys, my name is Devesh and welcome to my channel. This is the 17th lecture on the series Python for beginners, and in this tutorial we will talk about typecasting in Python. So here I am at PyCharm. Let us create one file called as let's name this file as typecasting. Okay, and alright, let's get started with our discussion. So what is typecasting in Python? Typecasting is simply conversion of one data type into specified data type. Okay, so for instance, if I have a variable, say x is equal to 1, right now the data type of x is integer because 1 is an integer data type, and if I want to check that or if I want to validate it, I can simply use the type function which we have already seen, and let me run this program. I can see that it belongs to the class of integer. Now if I have a specific requirement that I want to convert this x, okay, into string type, okay, so if I convert integer into string, that is one data type into another data type, that is what typecasting is. So the way I can do it, I can simply say y, let me take another variable, say y, and say y is equal to str, which is used for string, and pass on this variable. Okay, and if I print y and run this program, I can see that I am getting 1 here. I can also check the type of it. For that purpose, it is string now. So this is just a simple example of typecasting. So let us see some more example of typecasting. Let me clear the screen for you. So suppose if I have a variable, say x is equal to 5.2, okay, so the type for this the data type for this variable will be now float, and if I want to convert it into integer, I can simply write integer in front of it. Let me write the function in the comments so that it is easy to grasp. Okay, so what I can do is I can simply write int here and put the number, float number inside it, and if I print x and then I print the type of x, and let's run this program. So the 5.2, the fractional product of this number is dropped in this print statement, and the type of this number is now converted to integer type. So similarly, if I have a number, say 12, and 12 is already an integer and I want to convert it into float, so I can use a float function here and put it here, float, and run this program. So float is basically for decimal, so it will give 12.0, which is actually 12, and the type of this is float. Suppose I want to convert this number 12 into str. Okay, so this is how I can do it. So str is the method for it. Let's run this. I can see the type of it is now changed to string or str. Now let's take these two example as for conversion of string into a list and conversion of list into tuple. These two are very interesting typecasting conversions. So let me take a string as winter is coming. Okay, and this is right now a string. Okay, and I want to convert it into list. Okay, let's run this. So what it has actually done is it has converted this string into a list. That's quite visible. As we can see, there is a pair of square brackets at the starting and the end point, so it is pretty much a list. Now each element of this string is now actually an element of a list. So WINTE, and there's a space after it. That space is also not omitted, that space is considered, and there's another space, that space is also an element, and all the items or all the characters of this string are present inside this list as a item. Okay, and needless to say, we can access any of these items through indexing. Let's take the similar example for tuple. Instead of list, if I use tuple and run this program, we get the same result. Only difference is it is, instead of a list, it's a tuple. Now let us try to convert a list into a tuple and vice versa. So let me get rid of this and let me take a list instead. So I have a list 1 2 3 and like this. Okay, and I want to convert this list into tuple. So how do I do that? Simply I will write tuple like this. Let me correct this casing here so it doesn't cause any confusion. Tuple and thus parentheses like this. Okay, and let's run it now. So it's converted to a tuple now. So there was a list and it's now converted to a tuple. Let's do the same thing for tuple and convert this tuple into list. So list function here and run it. So this tuple is now converted to a list. So these are some of the most common typecasting examples on the data type we have learned. Other than that, for instance, I have a number, say let's take a number 120, and I want to find out the hexadecimal code for this number. Okay, the way I can do it, I can write hex function for it and run it. So this is the hexadecimal code for this number 120. So there's a number 0 and x which represent that this number is hexadecimal, and the 78 is the hexadecimal value for the number 120. Okay, so let me write the function for that here, hex and followed by parentheses. Likewise, if I want to find the binary for this number, so I can do bin, which is an abbreviation for binary here, and I can run this. I can see that I get 0 and b the initial at the starting of this number, meaning that it is of binary type, and this is the binary equivalent of number 120. So let's put it here as well. What else? I can also find out the octal of this number and run it. So the initial two characters, that is 0 and O, represent it as an octal number, and this is the octal value for 120. So let's write down the function for it here, OCT. So suppose if I have a character A and I want to find out the ASCII equivalent of this character. So ASCII is an abbreviation for American Standard Code for Information Interchange. So if you are not aware of it, you can simply Google it out. It's pretty straightforward. So if you want to find the ASCII equivalent of this character, you can simply type the function ORD and run it, and you can find it out. The ASCII character like this. Similarly, we can also do it for the small case a like this. So suppose if you want to do reverse of it, that meaning that if you have an ASCII value and you want to figure it out what character this ASCII value represents, so what you can do is you can simply say CHR and put down the number here and run this. So it will give us the reverse of it. Okay, so let's write down the functions here as well. ORD, and the other one was chr. So these are the functions which we have seen: int, float, string, list, tuple, hex, binary, octal, ord, and chr. Okay, so these are some of the inbuilt functions for typecasting which are available to us in Python. So that's all for this lecture, and I'm gonna see you at the next lecture. Thanks for watching this video.